fine.
Hi, welcome to Wealthy Wednesday. My name is Leah Garcia, financial professional, and I specialize in helping self employed and business owners properly protect, distribute, and transfer their wealth. And I use a proprietary system known as the Wall of Wealth. And we also use a team based model. So, very excited to be here. I love these Wealthy Wednesdays because I learn so much. I always say the speaker learns the most. And today's guest is going to knock your socks off. I don't know how else to say this. I mean, I feel so honored and blessed to have him here. He's very, very humble person, but I have to tell you, he is truly a world-class wealth of knowledge. And what he's going to share with us is his proprietary system. He is the developer of an all natural, drug free automatic pattern recognition interruption system that helps to improve anxiety. How many people out there are know somebody or dealing with anxiety? It also helps to improve relationships. I don't know about you, but I'm always looking to get better in my relationships and improve our communication. Every day we are all communicating with somebody, whether it's our family, whether it's our work, even here on LinkedIn, and improve our confidence and self-esteem. So without further ado, please give it up for Dr. Bob Levine, PhD. So take it away, Dr. Bob.
Hey, thanks a lot, Leah. It's fantastic to be here with you. I really appreciate the invitation and looking forward to our communication, helping everybody who views this to live a more fully joyful and wonderful life. And I just want to tell you, should I give you a little bit of my background or?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. Well, I started out, I started out as a little baby. No, I just want to start out of college. I played college football and scholarship football, and I really beat myself up, and it later in life caused me some problems. I had 3 knee surgeries, 2 hip surgeries. I had a big time back problem, and I was able to resolve all of the pain that I had through natural modalities when conventional care was not able to help me with my back and hip pain. So, and that was many years ago. And but when conventional care couldn't help me, I explored all kinds of alternative therapies, right? And after a lot of time and a lot of money and learning a lot along the way, what worked and what didn't for me, I was able to finally get out of pain after about 6 months and a lot of time and money. So once I got out of pain, I was directing a brain research lab in Michigan, and directing a brain research lab doing high level research. And I had published a lot of papers, organized international meetings. I was very well known in my field. And yet being able to resolve that chronic pain was fantastic because I was able to get back to sports and feeling really good about life in general. And I realized that I needed to help people because, we know in our society, there's over 110 million people in chronic pain, right? And so I devoted myself to learning how to run clinical trials because I'm a PhD basic research scientist doing brain research in the laboratory, and I didn't really do clinical trial research. So I taught myself how to do clinical trials, and I started testing some of these alternative therapies because I knew that if data was not available to show the effectiveness of what I was doing and what I was learning, because I was getting trained in all these different modalities, I knew there would be a problem with acceptance. And most people in America know that the acceptance of so-called alternative therapies are called alternative because they're not covered by health insurance. And that's the problem, right? So people have to pay out of pocket for a lot of these therapies, which that will change very soon over time, I'm sure, because these therapies can be wildly effective, as I'm going to talk about a little bit later. So I basically ran clinical trials, and I migrated into large group programs, which was really cool because I could lead programs in chronic pain and stress relief from the stage. And now, without touching anybody, I could get dramatic increases in pain, elimination without drugs, stress relief, improvement in sleep, and improvement in anxiety. And we because we were running clinical trials, I was collecting all the data showing that we were really effective. So that was all very cool. But during the process of running those programs, I realized that people's lives in general were being affected because over time, I developed this, what you referred to as the automatic pattern recognition and interruption system, right? It's a system that allows people to recognize the automatic patterns that are running them automatically. And when you have an automatic pattern that is basically not conscious to you, it's actually in the subconscious mind, it runs life automatically. It makes it difficult and almost impossible for people to make changes that they want to make because they're running on automatic, whether the automatic pattern relates to expressing being angry and yelling and hitting and or taking yourself away because you don't want to do that, or whether it's an automatic pattern that relates to how we feel about ourselves, and how we feel about our ability to get out of pain. People who are in chronic pain have the future vision, as I call it. We're going to talk about future visioning a lot. The future vision that they don't have what it takes to get out of pain. They've tried so many things to get out of pain, and probably nothing's going to work. And I call that a corrupt future vision because it's not what we really want. What we really want is to be pain-free, without drugs, operating at high performance. And yet that's not what most people who've had chronic pain for a while think about. So this future visioning process is really important. It's one of the first things we want to do with people is have them recognize that they have corrupt future visions, called something like, I can't build wealth. I don't have what it takes. I'm not smart enough. I'm afraid. I'm being afraid. I'm afraid to make a mistake. All these, my decision making is suspect. So how can I really build wealth, right? And a lot of these wealth automatic programs are buried in the subconscious mind, and they're the kind of programs that we don't want to have, but we don't even know we have them, right? Mm-hmm. It takes some exploration. That's why I like guided meditation. I provide guided meditation audio tracks for people to recognize their particular automatic patterns in the areas of life that they're interested in improving, making changes in, right? So I'm going to pause for a moment and then I'll continue. So is there anything you want me to speculate on, or a question you want me to answer, or should I just keep going?
Well, you've said a lot. So yes, I would love to kind of unpack some of what you've touched on. And really what really resonated with me, Dr. Bob, when we were talking before we decided to do this collaboration, was talking about relieving chronic pain. I'm in the insurance business. I talk to a lot of people about their health, and so many people suffer invisibly with chronic pain because there's not a bandage on it, right? It might be back or knee or neck pain and such. And I shared a story with you that I'm going to share now, that one of the reasons I started training martial arts was because I was in a car accident and I had chronic back pain, and I had gone through doctors and all these different things and chiropractors, and really there was no relief. And my children were little at the time, and my daughter was probably 2, and she's 33 now. But and I just started thinking, I can't live the rest of my life this way. I can barely pick up my little 2-year-old daughter, and I couldn't really sit or stand. There was nothing that I could have that really relieved the pain. And I'm not a big person on medication, although I understand there's a place for it. And one of my girlfriends was training martial arts, and she said, you know what, you should just give it a try. And initially it was worse. It really was. I will tell you, I was very uncomfortable to the point that I had to rush home before I cooled down. Because if I cooled down before I got out of the car, I couldn't make it from the car to the house. I would literally crawl.
I've been there. Yep.
I would kid you not. And people said, what are you doing? My ex-husband's like, are you crazy? What are you doing to yourself? And the reason I stayed with it was because during the training, I would have these little glimpses of pain relief.
Yeah.
It might have been seconds. It might have been milliseconds, or maybe it was a minute. And I just thought, wow, if I can have this feeling and maybe figure out how to elongate that and maybe one day be pain-free. And that was what I felt in my spirit. It was just the hope of having pain-free.
See, so that's classic. That's classic future visioning, by the way, that you were doing.
And so it's a long way to validate what you shared with me. And when you said that future visioning, it completely clicked, because a lot of people ask me, why did you do that? Why did you stay the course? I mean, here you are crawling from your car. It's like, and because I just believed that it was possible. And so the future visioning to me is something that is completely fascinating. And then you're talking about that you were healing people from the stage. That's incredible. So I would like to, and I don't know how deep we can get into it, but just giving us an idea of when you are on the stage, at what point or did something happen where you realize that, gosh, this is something that I don't have to really be there physically with each individual person, and being able to I, I
Yeah.
mean, I really can't even conceptualize that, but being able to alleviate chronic pain. We're talking about people who have lost hope. We're talking about people who have spent thousands of dollars, they've taken medication, they've done all these things, and then you give them healing from the stage is pretty incredible. So can you share a little bit about that with us, Dr. Bob?
Sure. And then I can talk about how future visioning from the stage can really help people who want to build wealth too. So we'll get there. But what I want to say is, I taught myself how to run clinical trials. I worked with medical doctors who were seeing the patients to get them to refer patients to my clinical trial programs, and they were one-on-one care, in-person care, right? And what I learned in those clinical trials, in summary, was that a couple of things that are really important for both health and wealth. Okay. It takes a multimodal strategy. What do I mean by multimodal? Multimodal means you got to combine a bunch of different techniques or approaches together at the same time to get a result, whether it's in health or wealth or relationships or communication. Um, so I learned that from the one-on-one clinical trials. And I also did a clinical trial with chronic back pain, which was very interesting, where we compared conventional physical therapy with a whole series with a multimodal approach of alternative therapies, where each patient in the alternative therapy group got 10 chiropractic visits, 10 deep tissue neuromuscular visits, 10 acupuncture visits, 5 Feldenkrais movement education visits, and 3 mind body guided meditation visits, right? That's 38 visits, 34 contact hours. I mean, that's a lot. And I thought this is gonna really make a difference in the chronic back pain. That was a study about chronic back pain. We compared that to conventional physical therapy. The results astounded me in the wrong direction that I wanted to be astounded by, because I assumed that multimodal alternative approach with very competent practitioners would yield 50 to 75% elimination of chronic back pain, elimination of pain without drugs. So the interesting thing that happened was the conventional, both groups, physical therapy or the alternative care, were both reduced chronic back pain. The alternative care was a little bit better at reducing chronic back pain, but you know what? It was like not significantly different. I thought, how could that possibly be? Let me look at chronic pain elimination. Who at the end of the study reported they were completely out of pain? So it turns out that with conventional physical therapy, it was 5% were out of pain. That means 95% had to go do other things, whether it's more physical therapy, injections, pain meds, chiropractic, acupuncture, whatever they wanted to do, they required more effort. Now, in this multimodal group, where I was anticipating 50 to 75% elimination of back pain without drugs, only 16% elimination occurred, which really shocked me. And I thought to myself, if I can only do 16% with this multimodal approach, with fantastic professional, certified and licensed practitioners, there's something wrong here in this picture, you know? So the summary of that was, I learned that you really need really great coordination between practitioners. We probably didn't have good enough coordination, but I thought I can do, I like when I work with people with chronic low back pain, I'm like 90+% effective at work, eliminating the chronic back pain. That's not a challenge for me. It's really easy, even if somebody's had surgery, right?
Wow.
And so I thought, well, what modalities do we use that are amenable, where we don't have to touch anybody and we can lead from the stage? So guided meditation is one, where you don't have to touch anybody. Demonstrating different movement re-education routines from the stage can be done without touching anybody. Effective muscle release is a technique that I packaged and modified and put together, which can be demonstrated as well, and from the stage. Communication strategies, which are really important for somebody to understand, their automatic patterns and And the subconscious mind access is important, which is basically the subconscious mind is constructed in language. It's language based for the most part, aside for some grunts and groans on occasion, right? So all of those things can be taught from the stage and more, right?
Right.
The future visioning process for sure, which I taught from the stage. And so the first study I did was at Chrysler Corporation, where we had about 100 people. It was 96, I think, that came into our study. It was a randomized controlled trial. We had control people who could do anything they wanted to. We had like 200 of those or more of controls that could do anything they want. Physical therapy, acupuncture, chiropractic, injections, blocks, whatever they wanted to do, they could do that. And then the other people in my program learned how to, sorry about that, learned how to learn from the stage. And I gave them guided meditation audio tracks. I gave them written instructions. I gave them audios to listen to, videos to watch. They had videos to watch. So they had all the tools they needed to get the work done. And so it was a multi-session program. At the end of that program, 55% of the people had eliminated their chronic pain without drugs. Dramatic results. So I knew that we could do this from the stage, and I ran a lot of different programs with several thousand people. Great results throughout. And once we focused on pain, we expanded to stress. You know, because I knew in that Chrysler program that one thing we had to do was de-stress people, because one of the automatic stress patterns, automatic stress reactions cause a neuromuscular contraction and differential neuromuscular contraction depending on how somebody reacts, right? So I knew that you have to de-stress somebody to get them out of pain quickly, because if you don't de-stress them, it makes it really hard to get them out of pain.
Right.
So anyway, we did pain and stress, and then we just tracked sleep disturbance, we tracked anxiety, we tracked fatigue and other markers of health and ill health. So we improved everything we tracked. So we were basically making a difference with people in large ways. So and the one thing I want to say about, and then I'll pause for a moment. The reason why it's challenging for a patient to go to a practitioner on a semi-regular basis, like if you go to see a physical therapist once a week, go to see a chiropractor once or twice a week, an acupuncturist once a week, deep tissue manipulation once a week, guided meditation once a week. Why is it challenging for them to get people out of pain? Why is it that they're challenged? Well, the reason why is because the people don't know about their automatic patterns of muscle contraction, stress, movement, automatic patterns of communication that don't work for them at times, right? And so they go to the practitioner, they get treated, they feel good coming out. This is really good. I feel good. And then anywhere from an hour to a day to a few days, they fall back in their automatic patterns that they fall back into degrade all the great work that was done by the practitioners, right? So then they're back to wondering, well, I'm still hurting, and I'm still having problems. What's wrong with the practitioner? There must be something wrong with the practitioner. So the average person takes between 30,000 and 50,000 repetitive movements every day. So that's something big that we teach in my programs. And I'm going to pause there and just for a moment. How's that?
Wow, that's so much good stuff. You really reaffirmed my love for guided meditation.
Yeah.
That's something I've been exploring for a while, and I've been using it pretty consistently the past few months, and I really enjoy it. And what I'm learning is just how I interpret it differently as I'm going along. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. Yeah, sure.
Oh,
You're a new person today than you were yesterday. You're a new person tomorrow. You'll be a new person tomorrow than you are today. So there's always an opportunity for growth and development. That's really important, right?
yeah. So you're just really reaffirming my belief in guided meditation and in meditation in general. I just think meditation gets a lot of foo-foo.
Yeah.
And I just think that we're so bombarded with so much noise.
Yeah.
I live really close to the beach. My office, I could walk to the beach. And I intentionally leave my phone, and I will just, take a book or a nice blanket, something that's very comforting to me. And I just go out there and I just sit. and sit in quiet. And
Nice.
that is so challenging because we're accustomed to being with our phone and taking pictures and all this stuff. And that's been a real challenge for me. I had to force myself, like, you're doing this. Listen, you put it down. You said you're going to do it. And now it's becoming a little bit more, I'm more open to it. But it definitely, there's something to be said for sitting in quiet and solitude and just allowing whatever feelings come. And so you're really validating that for me.
That's fantastic. That's really great. And so there's guided meditation and there's unguided meditation. So when you sit by yourself and you just check in with yourself, that's unguided meditation, which is also really good. I particularly like the power of guided meditation because it's language based. And the subconscious mind is constructed in language. So if somebody wants to access their own subconscious mind and really harness the power of it and understand about these automatic patterns and ultimately interrupt them, it's really valuable to use guided meditation. So all the meditations I do are language-based guided meditations, targeted, like razor sharp to target to help people access their subconscious mind and access understanding of their automatic habits and patterns, right? Which affect every aspect of life. I mean, I love communication. I love language because it's so important and it's so powerful. Words are powerful, right? And so that's why I like guided meditation. I wanted to explain the difference between unguided meditation and guided meditation and tell you why I'm a real fan of guided meditation in my practice. I use it with everybody all the time. And by the way, I mean, I said that a multimodal strategy is necessary to optimize and speed up healing, right? And somebody might have asked the question, well, Dr. Bob, you say you're 90+% effective dealing with chronic back pain. You're one practitioner. What are you doing? Well, guess what? I'm using a multimodal approach when I see somebody in person in South Florida here in West Palm Beach area, or if somebody flies me to their home to work on them, I do that too. I have clients who can afford to do that, and they do that, and that's another way to get it done. I also have most of my practice is, by the way, internet based, so I do it over video Zoom because I can demonstrate, I can teach, I get the camera in position, I back up, I demonstrate, and I can see the person what they're doing. I can coach them on what they're doing, so it's really easy and it works great. And in the process of developing online programs, which are going to be phenomenal because people can purchase it at a very inexpensive rate because they don't have to pay me in person. They can buy this online program. They get all the materials they need, and they can do the program for whether it's chronic pain relief or stress relief or sleep disturbance relief, anxiety relief, whether it's about wealth building, whether it's about interrupting automatic patterns that get in the way of relationships, and all those programs are in the process of being developing. So I just wanted to say a little bit about my practice, and I think we're going to send out links. But if somebody wants to check out my background, they can do that by going to the link drbobtalks.com. That's Dr. Bob B-O-B Talks TALKS.com. That has a wealth of information about my background and different interviews I've done with radio and TV and podcasting, and my professional speaker reels are on there. A lot of stuff. My full CV with my 80+ publications and rank grants that I've written and things like that in my research career. So, but that's what I wanted to say about my practice, where I use a multimodal approach. I use guided meditation. I use future visioning. I use effective muscle release. I use unraveling the repetitive movements of daily living, like walking, running, sitting, standing, bending, reaching, which most people are doing improperly. And that's the 30,000 to 50,000 repetitive movements that get in the way of people really getting better from a physical dysfunction.
Yeah, that's so good, because we're doing these repetitive movements subconsciously, unconsciously, and we don't realize it's a blind spot. We don't realize that repetitive motion is causing all of this issues. And then maybe we take a pill or we see a chiropractor and we're wondering, why aren't we getting better? It's because of the other 30,000 moves that we're doing improperly throughout the day. So I really love that. So you kind of danced around a little bit, but let's talk about future visioning and how you see that it helps your clients who are struggling with stress, anxiety, and pain. And how can we implement that when it comes to one of my favorite topics, which is money, right? Wealth building.
Yeah. Future visioning is vital for improving our lives in any domain, whether it's health or wealth, right? And so, what is future visioning? Future visioning is basically keeping our mind focused and our eye on what we really want. Like, what is it that we really want? So, in terms of health, we want to be optimally healthy. We want to be stress free, pain free, operating at really high performance, right? We don't need any medications for anything. By the way, my PhD is in pharmacology. So, I've studied drugs for many, many years. And I always, when I lecture healthcare professionals, I always let them know that there's never really been a drug invented that addresses the underlying source of an illness. They're all band-aids. Some are really great, some are not so great, and there's almost always with medication side effects, right?
Right.
So if we don't have to take any medications, then that we would rather not. So that's part of a true future vision. I call the true future vision. I distinguish that from the corrupt future vision. The corrupt future vision, let's just take wealth, for example. A corrupt future vision would be, I'm just not smart enough. I just don't know enough. I don't have what it takes. To be wealthy. I don't know how to receive wealth. Wealth just doesn't come to me. These are all thoughts that we have, by the way, thoughts that are driven by the subconscious automatic pattern. And I can tell you that all of these subconscious located automatic patterns originated early in life. They originated as a young child, not good enough, stupid, unlovable, unworthy, undeserving, bad, alone, outcast. These are all conclusions that young toddlers to up to the age of 6 or 7, our conclusions were invented by them because of some incident that happened. Like for me, I can just give you an example. My mother took me to get my IQ tested when I was between 4 and 5 years old, right? And I don't know why I don't know. I didn't know then why she was doing it. We're just going to go get your IQ tested. I'm sure I didn't even know what IQ was, right? So I said, yeah, okay, well, I'll go along with that. So, we went there, we saw this elderly gentleman in a white coat who was going to administer the test to me. And I'm sure my mother took me there because she thought I was very smart. Maybe she thought I was special even. I don't know. I don't consider myself super smart. I can consider myself smart enough, right? Because you got to really have street smarts. You got to have communication smarts. You got to have interpersonal relationship smarts. So it's more than just intellectual smarts. I learned that a long time ago because I did intellectual pursuits at the highest level, right? So she took me to get my IQ tested. And so I was doing everything. I just remember in that I was doing everything. I was having a good time. It was fun. I can do this. I can do that. This is great. And then the proctor threw down some blocks and said, yeah, just put these together. And I went, okay. And I'm looking down at these blocks and I'm thinking, I don't know how to put these things together. And I'm like, wow. And the proctor looked at me with the look on his face, like, you sure you don't know how to put these together? And the instant he said that, and he was probably thinking, wow, this kid's pretty smart. I wonder what's with blocks that he can't do that. As soon as he said that, I went, wow, man, I must be stupid. There must be something wrong with me. And as a little kid, 4.5 years old, whatever, that immediately got sucked into my subconscious mind. I didn't even know what was happening. All I know is I couldn't put the blocks together. And I was suffering in the moment for sure. So he went and he grabbed 2 of the blocks and said, I'll show you how this is done. And I saw the 2 blocks he picked up and I saw how to do it. And I said, wait, I can do it now. And put them together. Perfect. Finished the test. Finished all the tests. I have no idea what my IQ score was. It doesn't matter. But I left unhappy.
Right.
And I didn't even know why.
Wow.
I was just unhappy. I mean, so I concluded I was stupid. And then I started living my life like that without realizing it. Subconscious mind pattern, automatic pattern, to having my mind on the inside, the subconscious level, think I was stupid. So how does a young person who invented the conclusion they were stupid. It got buried in their subconscious mind. They don't even know they have that conclusion that they generated, right? Yet it runs their life. So what happens with a person like that? Well, I don't raise my hand in class to answer questions because, I have the reasoning that, well, I know the answer. I'll let somebody else have a chance. But really, I was protecting myself from giving the wrong answer, right? And so I went through life like that and being really careful about what I said. Like now I speak a lot, right? And I didn't speak that much before. When you conclude you're stupid and you don't know it, you just got to watch out, make sure you're not saying anything stupid, right? So I didn't speak all that much. And I got a PhD as part of the compensation. I did really high level, phenomenal research work as a graduate student, even had 17 publications as a graduate student. That's unheard of, right? 2 science publications. But yet to me, it was all compensation. I mean, it wasn't a joyful journey. And if you're on a journey in life and it's not joyful, you're being run by an automatic pattern, right? And if you get to the goal you set, like I got the PhD, I got to that goal and I said, well, it's not that big a deal to get a PhD, and everybody else is celebrating for me. And I'm like, yeah, it's okay. No big deal. Anybody can get a PhD. Somebody who concluded at a young age they were stupid and got buried in the subconscious mind and it ran their life would say something like that. It would drive my speaking. Anybody can get a PhD. Just get accepted, go through it. They'll get you through. Don't worry about it. But it's not true, really. It takes something to get a PhD. You got to really put a lot of effort in to get a PhD. But that's what happens when the journey is not that satisfying, right? And getting the goal especially is not that satisfying. If there's no celebration at the end, you were run by an automatic pattern. You might have had joyful times along the way, but you got the goal. It wasn't that satisfying. That's how automatic patterns can run people's lives. And it runs the wealth automatic patterns or whatever somebody's automatic patterns are related to wealth acquisition will run their lives. And it makes decision-making challenging, has people being doubtful about their big abilities to make appropriate decisions. It can cause inappropriate mistrust. Okay. I think that being cautious is really important. I think that doing due diligence, especially in the area of money, is really important. I think that being cautious is different from being mistrusting, right? So if you can't trust people, that means you can't trust yourself, right? So a lot of people have trust issues with themselves because everything starts with self. I don't trust myself. That's an automatic pattern. I don't trust others. That's an automatic pattern. I can't love myself fully. I can't love others fully, right? I can't forgive myself because I did certain things in the past. Therefore, I withhold forgiveness from others. And it's not 100%, but this is what happens some of the time, right? And all of those automatic patterns that I just spoke about really are hurting ability to live the most free and joyful, happy life.
Yeah. So
future visioning, true future visioning, like I call it, is what do you really want? Even if you don't know how to get there, what are you going to focus on that you really want? Because that will define all of the way you're being in each present moment, moving towards the future, and it will define the actions that you'll take. And then, if you don't know how to get something in the future, you'll find a way to figure it out with people. You'll create teams of people around you. You'll explore other people's views. You'll communicate a lot with other people. So that's the true future visioning. What do we really want? The corrupt future vision is what makes us play small, keeps us introverted, has us withdrawn from people. The being cautious, being overly cautious, right? Being untrusting, being doubtful, being afraid, being nervous, right? Being anxious, all of those ways of being, which are basically also easily controllable, generated from within ourselves. We can change those. I teach people how to shift their way of being from being like afraid to being confident, for instance. I did that with a woman who was afraid to fly, and her husband used to take vacations by himself to all these wild places all around the world. He had a lot of money. And she wouldn't go with him. He would just go by himself, right? And so I said to her, I said, I can probably help you because that's an automatic pattern. It's having you being afraid of flying. And you don't even know you got that pattern, or you don't even know how to alter it. I can teach you how to shift that pattern. So I basically did a guided meditation session with her for about an hour. And then I gave her an audio track guided meditation audio track to listen to. Within 48 hours, she had booked her vacation airline ticket with her husband. And then she told me the story later. She said that she was flying from Europe, where she lived, and I was visiting them in Europe. She flew from Europe to the United States, and she was always totally afraid. She almost never flew. She flew to see her daughter like once a year, just because she had to see her daughter, that she really wanted to. So she almost overcame all. She was afraid the whole time, nervous the whole time, thought the plane was going to crash. She went from there to, after she booked her next ticket, after we did our session, I gave her the audio track to listen to. She was standing up in the aisle talking to people. The plane's bouncing all over the place. She told me finally the stewardess came up and said, "Hey, you got to sit down and buckle your seatbelt. This is really bad." So she went and sat down and buckled her seatbelt. No fear, right? That's the power of guided meditation, interrupting automatic patterns that are driven by the subconscious mind, because the subconscious mind controls life, really. That's how it is. So so true future visioning is what you really, really want, even if you don't know how to get there. Corrupt future visioning is what most people have and don't realize they have. Certain corrupt future visions will get in the way of their ultimate success in all areas of life, whether it's health, relationships, or wealth.
Wow, so much good stuff in there. Maybe we could go back a few pages. I have a question. You told a story about being a young child, and you did all these assignments and you completed many of them well, but you focused on the one that you didn't.
Yeah.
And so what really brings to my mind, my question to you is, because my little precious grandson is 5 years old, and I pride myself on being a better grandmother than I was a mom. Hopefully I learned some lessons along the way.
Yeah.
And, he's an only child at this point. I'm hoping for more.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But I really watch him because he is an only child. He is, he gets a lot of attention. And so he does do a lot of things very naturally, very easily. But then I notice as soon as something doesn't go right, then I see him start to say these things to himself, like, "Oh, I just can't do that." And I'm like, "Mijo, remember you did this and you did that." And he'll still kind of really resist it. So what can we do as parents when we recognize that? Like what happened with you was really invisible. Nobody would have known that you were internalizing that.
No,
But
right.
when we see that in our children and we can identify it, what should we do? How should we help them to process that for our children and grandchildren?
That fabulous question. So it probably has already happened to him. He's already he already invented a conclusion about himself that's in his subconscious mind that's starting to run his life. And so there's nothing that any parent that I know of can do to prevent that. It's going to happen. It happens to everybody. I've interacted with thousands upon thousands of clients, right? It's probably approaching around 5,000 clients, right? Which is a lot in general. And, every single client I've ever run into had something happen at an early age that shaped their life. And they didn't know why they were doing exactly what they were doing until we got to the place where we were finding out about the automatic pattern that happened, the event that happened early in life. And the events can be really simple. It can happen as a 6-month-old baby's left in the crib too long crying, the world is unsafe, right? Could be a young child whose, parent yells at them one time and that's it. They don't love me anymore. I'm unlovable, right? You don't know what it could be. Rape. It could be physical abuse. It could be, like my case, something like the blocks. Whatever happens, no matter what we want to say about it, whether we think it's traumatic or not, it is traumatic, right? The blocks, not being able to put the blocks together was traumatic for me. And back then, nobody knew about this stuff. So my parents didn't have a clue how to deal with this stuff. And, also, we were kind of surviving. My dad was in the Navy making about $3,500 a year. And my mom was a home mother for 4 kids. And we had, we passed clothes down from child to child. And we did all the things that people on limited budgets do, right? But that was our normal life. There was no problem with that, whatever, we were used to it and we didn't know any differently, right? But my point is that all you can do is not try to fix the person, the kid, right? and if you say things like, "Oh, but you did that, you should be able to do this." Well, when you say you should be able to do this, that's the should word. It's like, oh gosh.
Oh,
So
shit.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you should be able to do this. Like what we're really saying is, what's the matter with you? There's really something wrong with you, right? And that further reinforces the kid's feelings of whatever they concluded. Whether he probably concluded, I'm alone in this world. Everybody else has got a sibling or something like that. You don't know what, or I don't have what it takes. Then, I also concluded in my that I was not good enough. I was a loser. I concluded that, and yet I went to college on a football scholarship.
Wow.
As a not good enough loser, stupid, I still got a football scholarship. But I have to say that I played football in college at about 30% of my capacity. I was that drawn back. Whereas if I had been free to really play and play hard, would have been different. It would have been a different life. But because I was a stupid, not good enough loser on the inside, I had to compensate for that somehow, right? It was challenging. So the trick is, okay, so I'm going to get to what I think is an answer. I don't know. There's probably a lot of answers, but it's just to be okay with, to be accepting. Be accepting means open to receiving without resisting. When we say, well, you should be able to do that. Why, and saying, why can't you do that is like, to a kid is like, how do I know why I can't do that? It's like, it's really problematic. So, I mean, the answers that I say parents should really give up are no. Give up on saying no, give up on saying don't, give up on saying never, and give up on saying why. Like, why did you do that? Well, how's a kid supposed to know why they did that? So it all reinforces that they're not good enough. They're inadequate. Like my mother, I'm sure she took me to get my IQ tested because her internal subconscious mind automatic pattern of self-inadequacy, like she didn't know how to really cultivate me, raise me up in a way, and she wanted to get some guidance on what should we do with this kid. That drove her to take me there, right? And so that's why I say those words, no, give up, don't, give up, why, give up. What was the other one I said?
Never.
Yeah, right, exactly. So what we need to do is be accepting of the child just as they are. Like, it's fine that you couldn't do that. It's fine. Yeah. You'll get it next time. Yeah. Whenever you decide to get it, you'll get it. It's up to you. Right now, you're fine just the way you are. Being accepting is something that I teach people. It's very important. And so now that we're on the subject, I'm going to say a little bit about that, if that's okay.
Yes.
So okay. What is being accepting? Being accepting means that you're open to receiving whatever it is, whether you agree or not. The beautiful thing about understanding and defining being accepting as open to receiving, whether or not you agree, is beautiful, because people have trained themselves to think that, well, I don't agree with you, therefore I cannot accept what you're saying or doing. Therefore, I'm resisting what you're saying or doing, right? That's resistance is the opposition or opposite of being accepting. So resistance, as it turns out, and you may have heard this before, a lot of people have, resistance causes persistence, right?
Right.
So when we say to a child, for instance, you should be able to do that, that's resisting that they couldn't do it. Or why can't you do that? Or why did you do that? That's resisting the child, right? So so being accepting is vital, because we can hear anything, we can watch anything, we don't have to agree. We just are not applying our energy to resist and cause the persistence of whatever it is that we're resisting, right? It's easy to demonstrate this in communication. Okay, everybody on the planet probably has had someone in their life where the person's telling them something over and over and over again. Maybe it's the same story, the same complaint, and the person who's on the receiving end almost never takes responsibility for causing the other person to tell that story over and over again, because we're resisting them to tell that story. So they want to get through. They just want to get through. They want to be heard, right? So if we just were being accepting, we heard the story and we said to them, wow, I hear you, and we can repeat back what they said. Oh, are you telling me that I just want to be clear? Great, thanks. And that's it. Nothing else. No argument, nothing. it disappears. Conversations just disappear anyway, unless we keep them around. One of the ways we keep conversations we don't want around are to be resistant of those conversations, right? So that's the idea about being accepting. That's what we need to do with the young people. Even if, and I think some of the Japanese do it well with their kids. I've worked with a lot of Japanese in my time over the years, and sometimes it looks like their kids are totally out of control. I mean, it's like, how can you possibly let your kid do that stuff? But I think it has to do with allowing the child to do whatever it is that they're doing within certain like big boundaries, right? So I think that's what we have to do with our children. Let them be, let them explore, let them trip, let them fall, give up being helicopter parents like I was, early on in life, right? Trying to control everything, make sure everything's safe. But, hey, when I was a kid, I did everything. I mean, so I was fine. I ate dirt. I was out late at night as a young child. I used to ride my bicycle over to the elementary school about 2 miles away to play with kids. And in the summertime, got home at 8:30 after dinner when I was supposed to be home at 6:30 or something like that, late every night. And my parents just said, you got to get here on time. They bought me a watch. It didn't work. But so, let the kids be. Is that helpful? Does that make sense?
That is so, so helpful. And, like I said, I'm a totally different grandmother than I was a parent. It's easier for me to see these things from, when I'm with him, he's directing, we play what he wants to play. And if he does something that, maybe is not the wisest choice, I might just observe, wow, it looks like, that could be painful if you fell from that.
That's right. Yeah. Right.
And he was doing this thing where he was jumping. There was this little indent he lives out in the country and the trucks drive around. So during the rain, there was this big area where the trucks had driven. And so he was trying to jump from one to the other. And, he kept going farther and farther. And then he said he was going to make it. I said, wow, you think you're going to jump that far? Yes, I am. And he didn't. And he fell and he hurt himself. And, but as a grandmother, I could do that. I don't know that I could always do that as a mom.
I think you learn. I think over time, people learn, like you're learning to allow for it, because we realize that earlier in life, it didn't work very well to, try and contain them. And they don't understand why they're being contained. Like, why can't I do that? Is there something wrong with me that I want? The young child's always saying, is there something wrong with me that I can't do that? When you're telling me not to do that, and I know I can do that, right?
Right.
I got a funny story for you. When I was a kid, I was in elementary school. And we had all of our kids play in the neighborhood. One of the kids who was in middle school said, yeah, there's a swing set over there. I can tightrope walk across the top of that. And I looked at him and went, that's impressive. I don't know if I could do that. Right. That's really high up there. And I wonder how he would do that. And I just said to him, I said, I don't think you can do that. I mean, I don't think you can do it, because I can do that. I can do that. I said, well, can you show us? I mean, show us how you do that. Yeah. And he said, no, I don't really feel like it right now. And then I got the feeling like, okay, he's not really able to do that. I said to him, hey, if I get up there and I tightrope walk across there, would you do it? He said, sure, because he never thought I would get up there. So I was very athletic as a young kid. I mean, that's just the way it was for me. It was really fun and beautiful. So I said, okay. And I said, okay, I'm going to get, and this is true future visioning, right? Like, I'm going to walk across, I'm not falling. I'm climbing up there. I don't know how to do it because I've never done it before. I'm going to walk across the top of that all the way across, one foot in front of the other. The beam was about, I don't know. It was a round bar. It was a round tube, right? That's hard. So, I climbed up there. I got up and I stood up, and my mother, we lived, she could see out the window. She could see me up there. Right. And she was so scared that she wanted to yell out, but she was afraid I would fall over, which is true. If she yelled, I would probably get distracted. I would have fallen and, broken a bone or something. So anyway, I said, I'm walking across here. This is going to work. I just nice and slowly, one foot after the other, walked across, right? And I got to the end, and I got down, and I said, okay, your turn. And he ran into his house, because he... But I would have. So I think that's a great example of true future visioning. The corrupt future vision that he had was that I'll never be able to do that, even if this guy, Bob, does it. Right. So,
Wow, that's
and,
so good. I love that story. I was just envisioning that would be around. I'm like, no, they weren't flat. It was a round
yeah,
pole.
it was right. Yeah, that was really something to do that. I could never do that. I couldn't do that today. That's for
No,
sure.
that's very impressive. Very impressive.
See, that's a corrupt future vision. I couldn't do that today. That's for sure. That's a corrupt future vision. Why couldn't I do that today? Maybe I could do that today.
Right.
So anyway,
Yeah.
do you want to talk a little bit about wealth?
Yeah,
Future
I was
visioning
just
and
going to
wealth?
ask you, how could we implement future visioning when it comes to our wealth?
So, okay. Wow. That's a great question too. I want to cover I want to cover a lot of ground here. Okay.
Okay.
Because people need to start thinking about, what's in the way of me becoming as wealthy as I want to be. What's in the way? And most people will not see right away what's in the way. But at least they can have that thought, right? And what thoughts do I have when I'm not taking steps that are consistent with gaining all the wealth that I want? What thoughts am I having? I'm having people focus on their thoughts with regard to wealth right now, because if people are willing to be honest with themselves and focus on their thoughts, they might not like the thoughts that they have, but they're gonna see them. That's what's important, to see the thoughts that they have, right? Mm-hmm. And then if they don't like them,
wait, say that again. I'm sorry to interrupt you. To see the thoughts that you have. Yeah, so literally, when you have a thought, create a visual for that,
or focus on it, like know it, like in your mind. Your mind focuses on the thoughts that we're having about wealth, and what is in the way of us accumulating wealth, and what are my thoughts around wealth? Like, what do I think about give? People say when you give more than you receive, you get a lot back in the end. Just give, right? And I believe in that, right? So some people could ask themselves, well, what's in the way of me giving? Right? Why can't I give? Because if you really get back way more than you give, and I have not been a very good giver over, recently or up till now, what thoughts are going in my head? And that's really valuable to look at. So one thought, it would be, well, money is scarce, or I don't have enough. I can't afford that. And there are a lot of wealthy people that have a lot of money that, watch everything that goes out, and they're just not able to give because money in their mind is scarce, right?
Right.
So here's the question. Okay. So, and why am I not very good at receiving money or goods or gifts? Why am I not, what thoughts am I having when I'm not being outstanding at receiving money or gifts, right? So, this relates back to the young child. It's like, well, I'm not deserving. I'll squander it. This is a corrupt future vision. I'll squander it. I won't know what to do with it. It'll just be wasted. There's all kinds of thoughts that people can have. And those thoughts relate to those early invented conclusions or interpretations about something that happened that was traumatic in life that we forgot about, right? So why am I focusing on the thoughts? So here's something that people never consider. Most people never consider. Okay. Thoughts are actions. It's the act of thinking. Why is it the act of thinking? Because thoughts happen over time. Our mind thinks over time. I'm speaking, but if I was quiet and thinking the words that I'm saying, I would be thinking those thoughts over time, right? So what drives actions? Why do we think a certain way? Why do we move a certain way? Why do we communicate a certain way? Why is our communication coming out a certain way, right? Why are our movements being delivered or coming out a certain way? Why are our thoughts happening a certain way? All right. So this is something that I teach that I don't believe almost nobody teaches this. And it's really important in my view. You want to know?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I
So
got my pen right here. I'm taking notes.
so so what drives all actions are the ways of being that we express from within, moment to moment to moment.
Say that again.
All actions, all actions are driven by the ways of being that we express from within ourselves in every given moment, from moment to moment to moment.
Mm,
So the next question that most people ask are, what's a way of being? Because if the ways of being are driving all actions, the act of thinking, the act of moving, the act of communicating, the act of eating, the act of investing, if the way of being is the act of decision making,
right.
those actions are driven by the way of being. And I don't know what a way of being is. I'm stuck. Okay. So what are ways of being? Okay. Ways of being are defined as um, expressions that come from within that are readily each present moment that are readily observable and understandable by others and ourselves if we're trained. Most people are not trained to recognize ways of being in themselves.
Right.
So here's a couple of examples to really hone in on this. Here's some ways of being angry. Now, being irritated, being frustrated. Can we tell when somebody else in our presence is being angry, being irritated, being
You can
frustrated?
feel
Of
it. Yeah.
course, right. We can tell. Can we tell right away when we're being angry or irritated or
Not
frustrated?
always. Not
Not
always.
always. Being angry is a little bit easy because we
Right.
yell, but when we don't understand the impact of the yelling, and it's automatically those ways of being are automatic. They're driven by subconscious mind, automatic patterns that drive the expressions of those ways of being. For instance, being angry, being irritated, being frustrated, being afraid, being anxious, being doubtful, right? By the way, I call those all corrupt ways of being because I've never met anybody who wanted to express those ways of being, right? They're corrupt. We don't want them. We want other ways of being, like being accepting, being forgiving,
Right.
being loving, being
Right.
confident, being happy, being joyful, being relaxed, being peaceful, and you can go on and on and on. Those are our true ways of being. So there's corrupt future visions driving corrupt ways of being, and there's true future visions. Like when I was walking across that plank, so to speak, I was being confident.
Right.
I mean, I was being confident. If I was being doubtful, I would have fallen off. So if the corrupt way of being that I was generating is being doubtful and afraid and nervous, all of a sudden I got to the middle, I went, oh, nuts, man, I'm in real trouble here. I would have fallen. So the corrupt way of being would have taken over, driven the thinking, and then the thought of I'm in trouble, I'm going to fall, and then the action occurs from there. Yet no, I was being confident the whole time.
Wow.
And you know why? My true future vision was I want to see this guy do it too. When I get to the end and I climb down, he's going to do it too, or not, but we'll find out. So
Yeah.
so the way of being is vital, and people. I teach people how to interpret their own ways of being, and knowing that the way of being is driving all their actions of thinking, speaking, moving, investing, communicating, whatever it is, right? And if it's a corrupt way of being, the results, the actions, actions produce results, right?
Right.
So if somebody's so you can analyze yourself in three ways. The fastest way to make a change in your way of being is to ask yourself the question, what way of being am I expressing right now? Oh, being afraid. Oh, okay. I'm going to shift that. How do I shift it? Dr. Bob taught me how to do that. I can't give all that right now because it just takes too much time. But I would teach someone how to interrupt that like that and shift from being afraid or doubtful to being confident and being relaxed, peaceful. Yeah. Okay. So, I just lost my train of thought. Sorry. It's really vital to focus on the way of being, and you can focus on the way of being if you're trained, and until you get properly trained, focus on the action you're taking. Oh, I just hit my kid. Oh my God, that's terrible. Wow. I must be being angry. I'm going I got to shift this. Dr. Bob taught me how to shift this. I'm going to shift it right now, and I'm going to apologize. And I wish we had more time because I would tell you the golden strategy for apology. It's
Oh, we're going overtime. You just hit the overtime button right here.
oh gosh. Well, okay. I'm gonna give you a jewel in a moment about that if you want. It sounds like you want that, so I'm gonna give it to you, and your listeners will love it too. But I want to finish up with saying that, you can analyze your actions. Like, oh, I'm so doubtful that I can do that. Doubtful I can walk that plank. Okay, so and the action is the action is what I'm not doing. I'm not getting up. Right? I'm not getting up on the plank. Or I'm withdrawing, the action of withdrawal, right? So that's analyzing actions. And then you can shift your way of being when you know how, step by step, which I teach. And then the other way to do it is look at the results. The slowest way to find out the way you were being up until you got the result was to analyze the result. Wow, my relationship with my kid is terrible. Why? Because I yelled, I hit, I ridiculed, I did all this stuff. My way of being was being angry, being irritated, being frustrated, being condescending, all that stuff. So I got to shift that. So I'm going to shift that and see if I can repair the relationship. Who am I going to be? I'm going to be what I call the true self. And the true self, I coach people on ACE, ACEE, ACEE. A, true self, my true self, who I'm being in the future vision, the true future vision that's giving me who I'm being in the present, is being accepting, first and foremost, letting go of all resistance. Whether I agree or not, it's no problem. I'm being accepting. I can receive anything. You can say anything to me. I can hear it. I can repeat it back to you. I may not like it. I don't have to like it. I can receive it. I'm conserving my energy for myself. I'm not resisting. So if I was resisting, it would persist. But when I hear somebody say something to me that I don't like, I'm accepting of it. I can repeat it back, and then it'll disappear. It's done, over, right? So A, being accepting. C, being confident. This is probably the most challenging one for people to generate from within. Because I always ask people after I've trained them for a while, A stands for what? Being accepting. C stands for what? Being confident. Oh yeah, being confident. Yeah. So, and then E stands, I have two E's there because one, being excited when appropriate. Being excited is really fun, valuable. Being excited is really great. It feels good to us, feels good to other people. And also being empathetic to ourselves, because everything starts with self. Being accepting of ourselves, being confident in our own abilities, like walking the plank, right? Being excited with what we're doing in life, excited about our journey of life, right? And if we're not, we got to get on a different journey, right? That's why people always say, whatever you do, make sure you're passionate about it. If you're not, do something else, especially with a career, with work, right? So, and then the last E is empathetic. Be empathetic with self. Most people are not. We are our harshest critics usually, right? So when we're being empathetic with ourselves, we let go of being the harshest critic, right? And so that's what ACEE is. Those are the ways of being that comprise my true self. I have another one. It's accepting, forgiving, loving, confident, happy. That's another one I'd like to use. But being relaxed, being peaceful, there's so many. You pick the ones you want, and that becomes your true self. And that's who you are moving forward in the future. And anytime you're expressing a way of being that is inconsistent with that, like being angry, irritated, frustrated, doubtful, afraid, anxious, scared, you shift it according to the way I teach that. I'll give you the one hint. It always starts with a breath. Notice yourself generating a way of being that's corrupt. Take a breath and go on from there. Focus on generating your true self. Okay. That's not exactly how to do it, but it's at least it's a kind of a little roadmap you could follow. Take a breath, because you're not committed to the result you got or the action you took or the way of being you were producing. You're committed to something different. So take a breath and focus on whatever you say your true self is, the ways of being that you say are true for you in your future vision, true future vision, and who you are today. So that's a lot about true future visioning and ways of being.
That's so much good stuff there. I mean, we could go on for hours without a doubt, because I have so many questions that populated.
We'll
And
do another. We'll do another one of these, right?
we're definitely going to have to. So, I mean, we're definitely over time. But there's so much good stuff in
Well,
here.
if you want to know about apologizing, you got to ask for it now. Otherwise,
We want to know about apologizing. I've got that right.
okay. We'll make this like the last thing we do, right? But I do want to say, since some people may not be able to stay on long overtime, so I want to refer people again to my link, which is drbobtalks.com. Everything is in there for my background. You can my contact information, and so that's the way to get to me. drbobtalks.com.
Nice.
And when they contact me, I've got some really nice free gifts that I give away a lot.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. So they can contact me, and then I'll give them the free gifts. It'll be wonderful. So let's talk now about what I consider the most effective way for someone to apologize when they did something that either they didn't want to do or the other person that surely didn't want them to do, right? Okay. So how do we apologize in the most effective fashion? And I challenge and will be very grateful if anybody who has a way for me to modify this to make it even better, more effective. I would love that. So get a hold of me and let me know. This is my way that I created. I would say this is one of my very best creations that I've never heard from anybody else. So let's just let it roll and see what people think about it.
Okay.
Let's say that I do something, Leah, that you don't like. All right. Let's say I said something. I yelled at you. I said nasty things, whether they're accurate or not, who cares? I'm not committed to being angry or irritated or frustrated or talking at you in a way that has you feel badly. I'm not committed to any of that, but yet I did that. And I saw it in your face and your body language. It was just, you were so hurt. And I went, wow, man, I'm such a jerk, to myself. Right. So here's how I would apologize fully, completely, making sure my idea behind apologizing is making sure that whatever happened, we put it in our past. We don't drag it forward in the future. It may be that it might come up again. It's okay if it comes up again, but I want to maximize the opportunity to leave it behind us so it doesn't have to come up again. Because when it comes up again, it interferes with your ability to exercise your true future vision, and it interferes with our ability to be related in strong relationship. Okay, so I would say, Leah, hey, first of all, in communication, I always ask for permission before having a conversation. Hey, is it okay if we talk about this now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, good. And that's a tip that I'm giving you. It's a free communication tip. Always ask permission to have a conversation. Don't just come blasting in there. Hey, this happened. I want to tell you about this. Hey, listen up. You got to hear this, right? No. Hey, do you have a moment to hear me? I got something really cool to tell you. Always ask permission. Is that a cool tip?
That's a wonderful tip.
It's a really great tip. That's one of my key. I also have another thing we'll cover at a later time is listening skills. We'll cover them another time. Okay, but we're on apologizing. So I would say, Leah, is it okay if I address what happened when I was really not being nice at all to you? Can I address that now with you? Yeah. Okay, great. So Leah, I just want to let you know I'm really sorry about what I said and who I was being. And I really feel like I hurt you. You can tell me in a moment if I did, if you want to. I just want to let you know I'm deeply, deeply sorry. And what you can count on me for is I will always be my true self. I will never, remember I said don't use the never word, but I'm going to use it and I'm going to follow it up with something to erase the never. I will never be that way with you again. I will always be accepting, being forgiving, being loving with you, and being happy in our relationship. So that's what I want to say. I'm really, really sorry. And however else, any other words you might want to add. Then here's the next step. So Leah, is there anything that you would like to say to me about that interaction that we had? Anything at all? I'm happy to hear anything, whatever it is. I'm fine with what you're going to say. If you say anything, go ahead, Leah. So
what you said really did hurt me, but I really appreciate your sincerity. Like, I'm getting emotional. I appreciate your sincerity, and I do receive your apology.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Last step. You ready? It's another step. This is the step that nobody ever does. Okay. Most people don't do the second step. Or is there anything you want to say? But this one is like, Leah, thank you so much for apologizing to me. I really appreciate that. Is there anything else that you would like me to say about that interaction that would fully complete it for you so we can put it behind us and it'll be behind us and it'll free us up to be completely related again and with love and affection. Is there anything else you would like me to say?
I would just like to ask, is there anything I can do for that not to happen again? Is there something I did that caused that?
Fantastic for saying that. That's so insightful, Leah. Something in my world of responsibility, I don't care what you do or say. I'm responsible for the ways of being I generate and the actions that I take and the results that get produced. However, when you say that, that tells me that you're willing to support me and us and contribute to me by asking what you can do. So yeah, I know something you could do. Like if you ever find me being that way again, you can interrupt me instantly because I'm giving you permission. And you could say, Bob, stop. You gave me permission to interrupt you. I'm interrupting you. Okay. And I'm going to go, yes. And you're going to say, you promised me that you would always be a certain way with me and you're not being that way now. So would you please shift yourself? So that's what you could say to really help me out. That'd be fantastic. And I used to tell it to my kids all the time. It's like, hey, if I'm being in a way that doesn't work for you, just say, stop, Dad. It's stop, just stop. You said I had permission to stop you. I did. What's up? Well, focus on who you're being right now. It's not working for me. Is it working for you? Whatever they say. So is that cool? Is that a great apology?
I mean, we didn't have anything for you to apologize for. I'm going to tell you, when you were reflecting back the way that you treated me, that you never did, right? In the role playing, this is total role playing.
Yeah.
I literally felt those words you were saying in my shoulder. I literally felt that stress come right here.
I'm sorry. I'm just getting rid of this thing. My phone. I should have turned it down. Lee, I apologize for my phone going off during this. Do you accept my apology?
I do accept your apology.
Is there anything you'd like to say about that phone going off? Just so I can.
No, we appreciate your time. So I know you're a very, very busy person.
Is there anything else you'd like me to say about that phone going off? So
no,
okay.
not at all.
That's how it works, and we put it behind us. It's gone. It's like disappeared. It's out of the way. So that's to me, that's the most amazing and effective way to apologize. And I'm actually really proud of myself because I feel like it's a creation from my heart, that came from my heart. And you were saying about how you were feeling during it.
Oh yeah. Even though there was nothing for you to apologize for, this was totally role playing. But when you were describing the way that you treated me, which never happened, but even that, I felt it right here in my shoulder instantly.
Interesting.
And that really surprised me. I was like, wow. I know we're role playing, but I had to remind myself. I felt really emotional.
Yeah.
like you had done something to me, which you have not. Okay, that's never happened at all.
We never met in person. So yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So
I never did anything over the phone or Zoom or anything. Or
Really.
By the way, what was you feeling in the shoulder? Like pain or discomfort?
Oh yeah, I felt a knot right there.
Oh, interesting.
Right here. I could feel it right there.
Yeah.
And so
did it dissolve throughout the apologizing strategy?
Not completely. It's still there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's interesting. So I'll tell you what I want you to do. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
So by the way, I want everybody to know that you're always speaking into somebody's future vision. So watch out what you're saying. Always listen to what you're saying and make sure it sits well with you, because if it doesn't sit well with you, it's certainly not going to sit well with the other person, right? So you always have to listen to your words. I coach people. I should coach myself sometimes in this. Slow down 10% so that as you're speaking, you can listen to what you're saying and make sure that the words coming out of your mouth sit well or land well with you, which enhances the chance it'll land well with another. So I'm going to speak into your future vision. Ready? So
Yes.
look, we're going to do a little movement routine. It's really simple to do,
Okay.
and it's going to completely eliminate any discomfort in your shoulder
Thank you.
in seconds. So you ready?
Yes,
Are you ready for that?
I
See,
am.
that's me speaking into your future vision, right? It's creating a true future vision, one that you want. So all you're going to do is you're going to take is it your left shoulder or your right shoulder?
Left.
Okay, so you're going to take your right hand and you're going to place it on your left shoulder, right on the top, the
Mhm.
trapezius muscle, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so you're going to inhale. Okay, put your hand back down. I'm just going to describe this to you. You're going to watch me. You're going to put your hand on your shoulder. You're going to inhale. Just raise your shoulder up. Yeah. And then you're going to exhale and lower back down. And as you're lowering it back down, you're intending, your mind is telling your brain, the mind is the master controller of the electrochemical machinery of the brain. Your mind is telling your brain, let's let that knot go completely down. That knot that's under my finger right now. Exhale down. And then at the bottom, relax, release, take my fingers and just massage the tissues a little bit. And it's gone. So you ready to do that?
I'm ready.
Okay. Put your hands up, feel the tissue and take a breath before you do anything. Locate where the knot is and surround the knot with your fingers. Okay, you ready?
Mhm.
So now inhale and slowly raise your shoulder up towards your ear. And on exhale, you're going to lower it back down. Your mind is intending that the brain resolve the muscle knot completely and fully by the time you get to the bottom. And at the bottom, you're going to relax and release. Let your arm dangle by its side. And then use your fingers to just rub the shoulder, top of the shoulder, and tell me that the muscle knot is gone.
It's gone.
You would tell me if it wasn't, right?
I would tell you if it
Okay,
was.
because I know you're straight. You're a straight talker.
I would tell you if it
And
wasn't.
I would say it doesn't
Wow.
work 100% of the time, 99% of the time. Yeah. So that's pretty cool, right?
Wow.
And we use that as an illustration that we're all in communication. We are always speaking into somebody's future vision. So we're
Right.
helping to support a true future vision, which is what we do with the kid when we say, "Oh, it's fine. It's okay. It's fine that you couldn't do that. That's really fine. Next time you'll be able to do it. I'm imagining you can do it next time." That's speaking into the child's future vision to be confident they can do it the next time, right? And
Wow.
so that's why it's worthwhile in communication to really pay attention to the words coming out of your mouth.
Oh my
And I
gosh.
have
There's
a
so much
yeah,
good stuff in there.
and I have a cool communication story. I'm not going to tell today. It'll be another time. It's how you can cause conversations to disappear and change somebody's life like that.
Wow. Well, we are way, way over this.
Yeah.
This last few minutes was so valuable for me. I would tell you, I feel that I'm a very, for lack of a better term, sensitive. Like I feel things
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
easy. We had a discussion about that. I can sense people's energy a lot of times, even if
Yes.
they don't verbalize it. And that's not always good. I have to be really aware of that. I have
Yeah.
to release other people's energy at the end of the day because otherwise it's all like little barbs on me.
So yeah. Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
All right. So if that's going on moment to moment, you can see, by the way, true future visions. We have a true future vision for the next 10 seconds because your true future vision is, wow, I'm really anxious to hear what Dr. Bob has to say. It's going to be fabulous, right? So that's your true future vision for the next 10 seconds or 30 seconds if I take a little longer. We have a true future vision for 5 minutes. We have a true future vision for 20 minutes tonight. True future vision for tomorrow. True future vision about our investing tomorrow and the day after and the day after. True future vision for what it produces in terms of wealth building, 2 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now. True future visioning for how we can make so much wealth that we can give so much away to help other people for really great causes, right? So that's what I think wealth should be used for. Giving out, giving back, paying forward, right? Supporting causes that are really valuable for the world population, not just some distinct group of people, but for world peace and world health, right?
Yeah.
And I always say you can't get to world peace unless you have world health. Everybody on the
So
planet can be healthy and well, and then we can have world peace. So that's just what I say. So anyway, the short-term future vision, right? I'm just going to make a suggestion that and I'm going to speak into your future vision. This is a suggestion that you're going to love, and you're going to be able to utilize from this moment forward when I tell it to you. and it's going to be so wildly effective for you. It's going to be happy every time you use it because you don't have to have these sensations that you ride with you all day, and you got to the burden, and then you got to clear yourself at the end of the day. So you're now you are already an expert at noticing when those energies are, let's say, attaching themselves to you, integrating within you, right? So what you know from now on is that you can simply take a breath and have the mind's intention to have the brain, have the body repel all of that instantly. And then you're free in the moment. And you love that. And you can feel the freedom. It's awesome.
Yeah.
That's me speaking into your future vision, which is what I do with all my patients, because I want them to have the best life and the best result and the best experience with, being a client of mine. It's really important to be able to be really good at speaking into people's future visions, into their true future vision.
Wow. That is so huge. Anybody who watches this to the end, they are going to get so much value out of this.
Yeah.
There's so many golden nuggets in there, so much wisdom.
Yeah. I have really enjoyed myself. I had no idea that we'd have this much fun, and you ask great questions. You're a great interviewer, by the way. I got to say that.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm not just blowing smoke, because if you talk to people who know me, I don't blow smoke easy at all. So when I say I feel like you're a great interviewer and you brought out the best in me, I'm totally candid about that. So thank you, Leah.
I received that so much. I feel that this was really powerful for me. It truly was. I learned a lot. I took a ton of notes, but even more than that, I really felt what you were sharing. And so that's why I didn't feel bad sharing that with you, not to make you feel that was a negative thing. I mean, I really see how future visioning can be so impactful, and not just to others and our children, but also to ourselves.
Totally.
We start future visioning ourselves. And people talk about affirmations, which affirmations are wonderful. But if we're resisting it, right? If we still have that negative programming, and we all have that negative programming at some form or fashion, by the way. But if we can bring that awareness to it and start to embedding these commands and start to move our body in different ways and have different experiences,
right?
That this is transformational. I picked up a lot. I want you to know I absolutely did. I'm excited about this connection. I'm so honored that you took the time to share with us today, Dr. Bob.
Thank
and
you.
I'm excited just for our personal interaction. I just really believe that the work that you're doing needs to be shared. And of course, I talk about money and wealth, but when you were speaking, so many clients came to mind about things that now I'm making the connections.
So I'm going to interrupt you. I'm going to interrupt you because I'm having this uncontrollable true future vision that you're going to put together. You're going to invite me out to deliver a program, and you're going to put together a group of people, and we're going to together deliver a program.
Wow.
What do you think about that? How's that
that sounds amazing.
Yeah, let's do it, because you said the beach is right there. I mean, I got to come out there. So
it's gorgeous.
Let's and my intention is always to be helping people. That's the first and foremost where my focus is. And so, if you were to put a program together that I could deliver all of these jewels for, I mean, I would just love that. And we would be.
I will tell you, Dr. Bob, in Monterey, there are a lot of people that I see walking around. A lot of elderly people live in this community. A lot of retired people.
Yeah.
And I see people with limps, and we've talked about that. We've talked about that. We talk about watching how people walk, and that's a whole conversation that I've been exploring with Dr. Bob. But people live with pain, and they just think that it has to be that way.
Yeah. Well, they tried so many things.
They've tried so many things. They've exhausted all the resources. They've taken the pills. They've gotten the shots, and they just feel like that's the way that their life has to be. Now, when that was happening with me, I can't tell you why I resisted that was my future. I just felt like
you chose. I don't. Pardon me. I got to interrupt. I don't think you resisted that. I think you chose another future. That's what I think. Because resistance causes persistence. We know that. So if you continue to resist that way of painful life and decrepit life and low performance, you're going to resist that. It'll persist. I believe in my world, you chose another future vision, a true future vision called I can figure this out. I'm going to get pain free. And whatever happens, I'm in it. I'm in it to win it. I'm in it for the world. I'm in it so I can be successful, and it's going to happen. I'm going to be pain free. I don't know how. It doesn't matter. I'm still going to get there. Right.
Yeah. Thank you
Yeah.
for that. I appreciate this was so wonderful. Thank you for your time. And yes, we have much to do together, much work to do together. Absolutely. I receive all your wonderful words and all of your incredible wisdom. And I'm excited for people who do watch this and just for our future collaboration.
Yeah.
So
Thank you. Can I give my link one more time? Just in case?
absolutely. Please do any way they can reach you. Any closing thoughts?
Yeah. The best way to reach me is go to drbobtalks.com. That's DRBOBTALKS.com. And everything's on there. My calendar's on there. My phone's on there. You can text me. My email is there. drbob@boblevine.com is on there. My full curriculum vitae is on there with my 80 plus publications and all the stuff that I've done. My whole history is on there in terms of brain research and holistic health. The $10 million plus of funding that I was able to receive, and and all my speaker reels and my interviews. There's a lot of stuff on there. It's fun. So drbobtalks.com. Thanks for letting me share that again, Leah. And I'm looking forward to being contacted by all the myriad of listeners who view your podcast, because you've interviewed some great people, and you have a lot of viewers, and I'm happy about that. And I'm sure that I'll be hearing from some of them.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Well, that is it for this edition of Wealthy Wednesday. I appreciate your extra time that you're willing to share with us, and a lot of wisdom and golden nuggets and true things that we can do for our future vision, right? We're all here to have something better. And I think that every single day is an opportunity to learn and grow. That's really what, to me, it's all about, right? We're better today than we were yesterday.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So we will see all of you at the top, because we know it's way too crowded at the bottom. So that's it for us.
Take care, everybody. Great to have been here with you.